Hello, good evening. Join me, Sebastian Barnes, as I answer a few of these prompts. So, the first prompt I'm going to go over is, why do relationship conflicts potentially lead to the most dysfunctional and harmful outcomes? And I just have a few notes, I'm a reference to. I'm not supposed to do anything crazy. I'm not supposed to follow a script, so here we go. So, relationship conflicts, why they lead to the most dysfunctional and harmful outcomes is because they involve so much personal feelings, whether it's with a coworker or, a friend, a best friend, schoolmate, church mate, whoever, there's some level of personal feelings involved there. There's always a personal relationship. And that's why managers aren't really supposed to get too close with their employees, because once you get personal feelings tied in and some sort of conflict arise, which is bound to happen with people when they work together, there's a lot more of a mess to untangle. Say if a manager's hanging out with let's just do a restaurant example, because I've worked in restaurants a lot. Say a manager's getting too buddy with a coworker or two, and then he has to fire. Yeah, one of them isn't doing their job, but he's a friend with them, and he can't fire them because you don't fire your friends. You see, that's when they lead to the most dysfunctional and harmful outcomes, because you have a employee who's no good, but he's still working there. You understand? So that's no good. Relationship conflicts, on top of being more personal, they go into other areas of the relationship that might not want to be talked about, because once again, you could be really close to these people at the end of the day. And that's why it's just best to stay separate, I guess. Well, I mean, in the workplace at least. It can break down communication for sure if you become too personal. Maintaining a healthy, mature workplace environment without getting too much of your feelings involved. I mean, everybody should be friendly with each other, but relationship conflicts definitely a big key issue. They lead to more dysfunctional and harmful outcomes because there's just a lot more feelings involved. When there's a lot more feelings involved, it's harder to drop a conflict, because you always want to be the last person talking, and you don't want to have that kind of situation with your boss. Like, all my relationships with my bosses over the years have been very professional. I actually just started working as a solar sales rep as a 1099, so that's a little different. You can be really buddy, but that's just the workplace environment we create as well. Very friendly. But then at the end of the day, I still have to perform, and if I don't perform, he's gonna. In fact, my boss, what I was just talking about, my boss had to fire somebody that was his friend because he wasn't showing up to work, and to make an example out of him. It's really sad. It's ugly. Nobody wants to do it, but it has to be done. So he did it. He fired him, and that's an example of relationship conflicts. He's a good friend. However, he wasn't showing up to work. He was holding the team behind. Next, moving on. Out of the 5 conflict management strategies, which do you believe are most likely to occur in conflict between 2 unequal parties, such as a manager and employee, a board of directors and its CEO, a large company and a small supplier? Which do you believe are most likely to occur in a conflict between 2 equal parties? Explain your reasoning. So, out of the 5 conflict strategies, which one do I most likely think? Let's see, I have some notes here. So, in a conflict between 2 unequal parties, such as a manager and an employee, board of directors and its CEO, a large company and a small supplier, the unequal distribution of power and resources can lead to a win-lose situation, you know, where the party with more power may use their influence to get what they want at the expense of the other party. You understand? Because they're just so big, they can just steamroll these other small entities. You know, a manager may use their authority, you know, even if it's not the best interest of the employee. You know, but like compromise, accommodation, and avoidance, you know, can be used depending on the nature of the conflicts. However, in a conflict between two unequal parties, they're not as effective. You know, they're not going to be willing to compromise or accommodate. You know, and the avoidance may lead to future imbalance between the two parties. You know, like in conclusion to this whole second prompt, you know, the most likely conflict management strategy to occur in a conflict between these, you know, two unequal parties is competition. Unfortunately, it's a real big issue. While in a conflict between two equal parties is appropriate, you know, it's an appropriate conflict management strategy. You know, when the equals, but satisfactory resolution that benefits everyone involved is, you know, like the most sought after ending. But yeah, because if one person is bigger than the other, they're not going to really like want to back down, you know, because it's a whole pride thing. Like it's a, you know, it's, I don't know. Collaboration is also another route you could take, because and then it turns from a win-lose to a win-win. When companies learn to collaborate, they win together. I mean, secretly, they all probably collaborate. I mean, let's see, for example, like my company, Lumia, we collaborate with other small solar companies. Like we give them better quotes because we have in-house installers. So like, you know, these mom and pop solar companies, they might not have the money to install. We'll do it for them, but they get the lead, you know. So we cut them off a deal. Stuff like that. We collaborate. But if we were to butt heads, they would lose. We would win. That's how it goes. We're number one in the state of Florida, by the way. Lumia. It's my badge right here. Gang. Been knocking doors all day. Here's one. The door knocker and the homeowner. That's an imbalanced relationship right there. But if we are both equals, which I have to portray myself to be, then it's a win-win, because they get solar and I get money. Oh, look at that. Now, the third prompt, let's see. Consider a time that you managed conflict through avoidance. What did you actually avoid by putting off and waiting to deal with the conflict? Did avoidance make the conflict situation better? Why or why not? What types of conflict situations are best addressed through avoidance? So, a time where I managed conflict through avoidance would have been, let me think. Something off the top of my head I remember is coming home from school, and parents know you did something bad and they're waiting for you to come up to them. You know, dad gets home, you hear the garage door go up. Oh damn, you know, I just stay up in my room, act like nothing happened. It's just gonna get worse, you know. But sometimes it's good to avoid, you know, maybe ask for forgiveness and permission, you know. What did I actually avoid by putting off? I guess confrontation. Confrontation's the big one, because I was, you know, as a kid, getting in trouble, confrontation. But a most recent example I just thought of in my adult life, I accommodated a customer at my restaurant. We run a lunch special, and they can get small classic rolls, sushi rolls, which is like a single ingredient sushi roll, for like two of them for like a small price. And this lady asked me, "Hey, can I get this premier sushi roll with the lunch special, and I'll just pay the difference?" So I talked to my chef, and he comes up with the number $12. So the lunch special for the two crappy rolls was $11, but she wanted one premier roll, one crappy roll. I charged her $12. So that's $25 I charged this lady. Then talk to my manager. You know, he says the same thing. It's okay. It's up to the chef. I don't know what happened, but I'm trying to. I serve the plate. I see somebody looking at me. They're talking Thai together, and I avoid them. I don't want to get yelled at, so I talk to them till the end of the night when they're all calmed down. When my manager's all fed up with everything during peak hours of the lunch or dinner, now is not a good time. But when you avoid, it makes the situation better. But confrontation is the main thing I avoid with conflict, for sure. I just think it's really awkward. I mean, everybody just wants to have like the easiest, they just want to be, CL Smooth, just rolling with the punches, But yeah, I don't. It's hard, man. It really is. It's hard to just pry open that door. But you know what? I do it every day now as a door knocker at my second job. I literally, right there, confrontation. Crazy. Moving on. The fourth prompt. Discuss the integrative bargaining strategies used and the case negotiation discussed in the previous section. What are the four strategies that separate people from the problem, focus on interests, not positions, and generate a variety of possibilities? Insist on some a fair standard were used. Which of the four strategies were used when discussing the integrative bargaining strategies? So I have a few notes on this right here. No one can remember all of that, right? So in the case negotiation discussed previously, several integrated bargaining strategies were used to reach a mutually acceptable agreement between two parties. One of the strategies was separating the people from the problem. The negotiators recognized personal feelings and relationships could have significant impact on the outcome of negotiation. So they made a conscious effort to keep those factors separate from the negotiation itself. They focused on the issues on hand and worked together to find a solution that would benefit both parties, really. Another strategy I remember was focusing on interests, not positions. Instead of simply arguing for their own positions, the negotiators explored each other's underlying interests and needs. So an example of this in my everyday life, since we're 1099, we can kind of do whatever we want. So we negotiated, we focus on interests with our employers, I guess you could say, and they'll give us a higher commission, because we were focusing on interests, not positions. So we run off of interests, where we're not really concerned with positions. And the main thing is another strategy that they used was separating the people from the problem. We separate the homeowner from the problem of the electricity usage and the bill every month. And well, at least that's my strategy. And I try to talk to him like a person, like a actual human being, and that's, I feel like, is a really good strategy. So those are my 4 prompts. Thank you for your time.